Hey guys, welcome to next episode. Starting over again. Just leave it. Let's just keep it going. Leif Erikson Day. Henga danga dargan. No, I'm starting to shit over.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Hi guys, it's episode 16. That was the third take we did for the intro.
Welcome back.
Okay, so
we're gonna try to cut down our intros.
yeah, we actually got a suggestion and we really agreed on it. It's
Yeah.
actually really nice rather than going over what the episode was about. It's just do the intro.
Yeah,
Fuck it.
short and sweet.
I mean,
This is yet another one of just us.
we're just going to talk briefly. I don't know. We already talked about it in the episode about the fact that this is an episode that we recorded, even though we recorded an episode.
In the episode, we said, yeah, we talked about this in the opener though, so
Yeah.
we'll touch it.
Okay.
This isn't the actual episode we're going to put out for Monday's episode. It wasn't the originally planned one. We had recorded one. Nick's laptop just totally took a shit on him during it. We saved it, thankfully.
So it's still there, and that'll be the next week's episode.
Yeah, we'll get to it because we still have a little bit to close out. But
we talk about it a little bit more in the episode.
yeah, so there's actually an episode out there already, almost done.
Yep.
For next Mondays. But we came out here on a Sunday afternoon and knocked out another one. So
Yes, we did, because we can. I love that we can do that.
yeah, I know.
It's so nice. It's just all right,
flexible.
cool. We have shit that we got to do. Get it done. Let's go.
All right.
It's nice. So
On that note,
without further ado, it's episode 16, and we're gonna start now. I hate that you don't get hangovers. I fucking hate you so much.
That's what you wanted to start
That's
it with?
what I want to start with. It makes me so mad. And me and your girlfriend were at the bar yesterday, like I had mentioned to you, and I was just she was fucking gone.
Yeah,
and
she was
couldn't keep eye contact with anybody until I just said to her, I hate that Caleb doesn't get hangovers. And she was just like, I fucking know. Lost her shit. She's just it's so fucking annoying. He has no idea what it's like. And now, R.I.P. Danny. She's been dying all day.
Been bedridden. She's been bedridden all fucking day. And even then, I didn't even know that conversation happened until I came over here and we were setting up. But this morning, I walked in and I was gonna ask her if she wanted anything because I was ordering DoorDash, and she was like, "Yeah." She's like, "You know what I've been thinking about?" I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "Why don't you get fucking hangovers? It's not fair." And she's just in bed, dying, and I'm like, "I'm sorry."
I hope that you never do, because they fucking seriously suck dick. Dude, it's honestly, I'd say one of the worst feelings. Genuinely, one of the worst feelings.
That sucks. I drank one time so much that I ended up getting so dizzy that I puked, and I woke up the next day fine.
I hate you.
I don't know why.
I hate you.
I really don't.
You're the worst. I hate that you have no control over something and that you're blessed.
The other thing, I always make jokes that hangovers are a myth, that everyone's just pretending, just to piss
Go to
people
fucking
like
hell.
Nick off.
Go to hell.
But the other thing that I think a little bit more might be a myth or just way more uncommon is blue balls.
That's not a myth, though.
I know, but still, it's a myth.
But it's not a myth.
It's definitely a wives' tale.
I literally know someone that couldn't walk after he got blue balls.
They're a great actor.
You're the absolute worst. You know what else is a myth? God.
What? Okay.
Viewer count? No.
But that and yeah, those two. I don't.
You don't get them?
I don't get those.
You get headaches?
Very, very rarely.
But you know what a headache feels like?
Yeah.
Okay, imagine a headache.
In your balls.
No. For a hangover.
In your balls.
Yes. No, imagine a really extremely bad headache that has sensitivity to movement, light. If you move your eyes too quickly, you spin.
Audio.
Just everything. Everything's it basically feels like a sensory overload, and your brain feels because I don't know what it does after drinking and getting a hangover and all that stuff. I never looked it up, but in your brain, what it feels like is it's swollen. And it's actually touching the walls because you know that your brain has a cushion all the way around it, right? All the liquid in there keeps your brain from touching your skull. It feels like that liquid is gone.
Well, it's what's it called? Ambiotic liquid, right? That's what it is. Never, ever getting over that.
No, it's gonna be like episode
it protects
100.
you right around where it would bump into the cornea, but it actually doesn't. It's actually safe.
I don't know if you're serious or not.
I'm not serious.
Okay, I don't know. You could start saying a bunch of large words, and I'm going to get real confused real fast. No, like I'm saying you can say amniotic fluid protecting your cornea from smashing into your brainal walls. I know it's not brainal, anal walls.
Very nice.
So with all of that, with a hangover, I think the longest hangover that I ever had is 2 days. 2 days.
Do you still throw up when you have hangovers?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Man. Well, it depends on the hangover because so for my 21st birthday, my family got me fucked up. It was probably the most drunk I've ever been in my life. I think we basically went on a bar crawl starting in Lancaster and then went through all of like Palmdale.
Ended up in San Diego.
Because it's kind of like a horseshoe, but actually looks like a dick if you were to draw it out.
Okay.
So you start at one bar, and because you know how like in Palmdale, the mall has that like round, like you can go around the entire mall in a circle.
Yeah.
Because the road's like that. And those outside restaurants, if you go to each one of them and then you end at Yard House, that straight line down, it's like a ball sack and a dick. So it's so we did that crawl, and when I got to Yard House from Madrano's to Yard House, I sprinted with my brother, and that was a really bad fucking idea because I was already I was gone, like blacking out,
just fucking eating shit.
No, we didn't eat shit. When I got there, it was like, you know, your body starts pumping faster, so all the alcohol starts flowing through you faster,
shoots right to your brain.
And I ran into Yard House, ran straight into the bathroom. I dry heaved, fell asleep at the bar. The bartender screamed at me, telling me, "You can't sleep here." I was like, "I'm so fucked up." I was like, "Please give me a break."
Sorry. I'm 20 years old.
So we got into the car, and I remember briefly getting into the car, and then I woke up on my toilet hugging it. And you're wearing so many fucking rings and watches and things that are
watches plural. Yeah, I got like 3 on. I wear them like silly bands.
Your Apple Watch and your regular watch. So ended up hugging the toilet and woke up then again in my bed at like about noon the next day, and I was watching videos on my phone hysterically laughing, and then realized halfway through laughing that I was still drunk. And I went, oh no. I fell back asleep until like 6 p.m. and from 6 p.m. the day after my birthday until 2 days later, which was 2 days before Christmas, I was fucking hungover. I think I went to my grandparents' house still hungover for Christmas Eve.
Jeez.
It was a lot of throwing up and a lot of just sleeping.
That's fucking nuts, dude. Yeah, I hope I never experience that.
No,
fuck that shit.
I really don't want you to. It fucking sucks. Like, good for you.
I'll probably experience it on Vegas trip.
I don't like drinking that much. I just get way too ahead of myself. Like the other night when we went out, because yesterday was Saturday, we also went out Friday.
Yeah, we drank last night and the night before that.
And the night before, and it's been like a 2-week streak.
The morning of.
But dude, that night, Friday night, I was fucked up. We were drinking out of that little squeegee thing. What the fuck was that?
Oh, it was like a little icy pouch.
Yeah, the icy pouch full of shit ass vodka.
Yeah, because it was basically like an old cherry icy pouch, but then you fill it with vodka and it tastes like fucking Robitussin. Cherry flavored fucking cough syrup.
Thinking about it's making me sick. And I was hungover all yesterday.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
Literally, up until I got to the bar, I still kind of have a headache now.
Oh my God. Wow.
And I'm like 24, and I'm like, fuck, dude. People are like, oh yeah, 28, 30. That's kind of when you start slowing down. I'm like, I guess I've been drinking too long. I don't know. Like, I started drinking when I was 15 or 16.
Maybe that's it. Like, I didn't really have like a huge drinking tear when I was like 16, 17. Like, I really, really started like actually drinking when I was like 20.
I don't think you have like a limit though. I don't think you burn out a certain amount of time with it. I just think my body is fucking shit and it's falling apart slowly. I just think my
body is shit.
I try to take care of it, but it doesn't like me. So I think that's the main problem. There is one subject that is there anything else you want to say on that?
No.
R.I.P. Danny.
Yeah.
I'll just name this episode R.I.P. Danny. So I know why I don't like the term influencer.
Okay.
It's the same reason, and I thought about it especially because Tess texted us.
Yeah,
and
I was with her at work formulating the text with her. I was like, no, you got to make it say with a dash.
Oh, you were part of it?
Yeah, no, I was helping. I was pulling the strings.
So it's the same reason that I don't like the term creative. Like, I'm a creative.
Oh, a creative, like
yes.
a noun rather
like
than an
I
adjective?
am a, like, it's these broad terms to fit into a category just to make yourself sound good.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like it. Like, if you're a photographer, you're a photographer. If you do podcasts, I don't know. Is like podcaster a thing? Like, there's not actually a term. It's just I do podcasts.
If I walked around saying I'm a podcaster, I would be like,
but that's my point, right? So it's like, it's terms like that, that kind of, because, you know, like photographer, like I take photos, I take video, I do podcasts, I race cars, I work on cars, right? Like, you're a technician or a mechanic or, you know, an engineer, whatever the case. But like, it's like going around saying I'm part of the workforce, or I'm a workman.
Yeah,
I'm a workman.
Like I
what
said,
the fuck does that mean?
Because it's just like a fluffed up, like hollow term. Like,
and I just don't like it.
There's nothing to it. It's like cotton candy.
That's my point. There's nothing to it. It holds no grounds. It's just you were trying to literally. It's like fitting into a mold.
I feel like
not fitting into a mold. Fitting into a large group of people to feel like you're part of something.
Just like conforming.
Yes.
I feel like for someone to genuinely have the term influencer, it would be like in some like 1984-esque like civilization where it's like just pure tyranny and the government controls everything. Yeah. They're like, oh yeah, I'm the one who makes the propaganda.
Because you want to know who else is an influencer?
Oh, let's
Hitler.
Okay. Okay. Oh God, you fucking snorted.
I don't understand why people always point out snorts, dude. That's one thing I don't understand.
Snorts are little gems. It's because like some people, dude, oh my God. Some people like you get the occasional one. I'll get the occasional one out there. But holy fuck, our friend Jaina fucking rips them like it's
I'm so
fucking
excited
Beyblade.
Fucking Beyblade. You're an idiot. Oh, I love it. But anyway, that's why I don't like, because Hitler. I don't like the term influencer because of Hitler.
No? I was this actually brings up a good talking point.
Okay.
So I was thinking about like
Hitler brings up a good talking point?
Always.
Okay.
Hitler is the actual like center of all talking points.
Oh my God.
But like I was thinking about it because I was finding myself like trying to get a good grip of who like the most influential people of like all human history have been. And I feel like you can't have that conversation without Hitler. And no, I'm being dead serious here. Okay. Nick, you're like fucking quivering over there. But like, because when you say like the most influential people, the people who have changed history the most, you want to say like, oh, like the Mother Teresas and the Gandhis and like the Nelson Mandelas and like the super selfless, awesome, like beneficial people. But like, you literally can't go like fucking 10 minutes about talking about European history in the last 100 years without talking about Hitler.
Right.
And like, if you, and like, I think that like, it's so fucked up, but like, he has left himself branded in history forever.
Right.
And like, you would love to say that like only like the good people are the ones that get remembered throughout history, but it's literally the ones that just change the most of the world, that have the most impact.
That's a good point.
And so it's just like so fucking, like, I think it was back in like ancient Greece, I think it was. They had the Library of Alexandria, and it was filled with like tons and tons of like texts and scrolls and super precious like information of the time. And somebody burnt it down, the whole thing. They lost like everything in it, Jesus. Like all of these like super precious ancient texts. And the guy who burnt it down on purpose because he wanted to be remembered forever in history.
Wow.
And so that was his way of doing it. And so I think they like outlawed it to like speak his name or put his name down or write about it. Like they like made it so you couldn't talk about him, so he didn't get what he wanted.
So it's just a person did it.
But no, his name still got through.
Oh,
so
no shit.
If you look it up, you can still find out who did it.
That's fucked
up.
up.
He got exactly what he wanted, and he etched himself in history forever.
That's the same thing with everybody that commits fucking acts of like these big acts of violence now. It's just like they want to go down in history as like it doesn't matter how they do it. They just want to go. And that kind of like plays into like everything now. And that's a point that I wanted to bring up to you was because it was the way that you had mentioned it before. I feel like everybody wants to just be remembered. They don't give a fuck how. They just want to be.
Yeah,
and
because
like,
the idea of like just fading away as soon as you're gone is like.
But to me, okay, I can't say everybody. When I say everybody, I mean everybody. No. Let me take that back. A lot of people who are, for example, like Instagram models, we'll just call it that for the first one, of like millions of followers, and there's one chick that I guess her Instagram recently got shut down, and she made a video of her crying about like that's her whole life, that's everything she ever wanted. It's gone. It was like 1 million followers and whatnot, and it was just like, okay. Now I get it for the money part, right? Like if you actually have sponsorships and that was your job, that fucking sucks, and I'm sorry about that. But there have been other cases where it was like on Chris D'Elia's podcast, he read some Instagram post that this chick wrote this big old post about getting 1 million followers and how she's always dreamed of it and that's all she's ever wanted, and she would write it over and over and over again in her notebook, and she finally got it and she's so happy to finally be here. And it's like, what does that do for you? Like, what does that do? Right. And so I feel like a lot of those people want to just be remembered. And it's like in my head, because remember the question where it was like, would you rather be known while you're alive, but forgotten when you're dead, or vice versa?
Yeah.
And you had said known when you're dead.
Yeah.
I'm the other way because I'm dead. I don't give a fuck, dude. I don't give a fuck. What is it going to do? Literally, what does it do for me? And it's not that like, I want to be Mr. Popular and now, and like I want all this fame. That's not.
But you just figure if you're not around for it, why care?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So between those two choices, I'm going to choose the one where it's like in the now, right? And like this whole thing that we've talked about with us doing this for our, future generations of kids, like they can look back on this and be like, this was great grandpa's stuff and great grandpa. Like that's cool. I like that stuff for family reasons. But when it comes down to like, is my knowledge or the way that I talk about things and the way I go about life, is that going to change people's lives in the future? If it does, cool. But do I care? Not really.
Is that your goal?
No, it's not. And so I don't know. I find it weird when people are like reaching for the fucking stars to just be remembered. It's like, hey, dude, if you go about life how you want to go about life, but stop. I don't even know how to formulate the next thought that I want to say.
I think being remembered and leaving a legacy is the next step after current popularity. Right. Because like if you gain like current popularity and you get the attention that you desire and you get the like fame or whatever, that human beings never grow like truly content with what they get. They always grow like tired of it. And I mean content in a good way. Yeah. They always grow tired of it. They always want what's better, the next step up, the next level. And so once you hit that level of fame, then, or even if you want to call it fame, just that level of attention, then the next step is, okay, well, if I'm well known now when I'm alive, I want to be even more known after I'm gone, because you feel like you've conquered this mountain already, and you look at the next one and it's like, okay, I'm amongst like the celebrities of today's day and age, but you look at who's even more popular than you, and it's the greats of time, like the greatest and most influential people that have ever walked this earth. And you're like, okay, I've gotten to become a part of this popular club, but now I want to be a part of that club. And then so you go point for that next one. I guess when it comes to the girl with like 1 million followers, and that was like her main goal and everything, like I don't see a problem with it. I really don't. I think like it's no different than writing down the goal of, I'm going to buy myself a yacht one day, or I'm going to buy myself a boat, or I'm going to, create a sculpture one day or do all this stuff. It's just another goal that someone sets for themselves, and they probably get super fucking stoked when they get to it.
The only point that I forgot to mention on that was that she wasn't like doing anything other than just like, and this is legitimate. I believe I'd have to listen back on the episode, but I think she just posts up pictures of herself, pictures of her ass. She was just like doing, the typical like Instagram popularity shit. That's what bothers me. Is it's just you want 1,000 pairs of eyes on you.
That doesn't change my opinion at all, because girls do that shit all the time and they don't have 1 million followers. And so regardless to if you're just literally posting pictures of like how well your genetics turned out for you, like it still takes a shit ton of work to get 1 million followers.
Right.
And so like it's something that someone would have to really strive for and push hard for and write down 1 million times in their notebook and like really make it a goal. And then they finally hit it. Yeah. And then it's a really big deal. It's a huge goal that they set, and not a lot of people can say they've got that. And so like on top of that, that's, every girl is posting pictures of themselves or their ass or their tits or whatever. So it makes it even harder. Like
not every girl.
No, I know I'm being generic.
I know.
So it makes it even harder for someone to hop in a quote unquote saturated market and then make themselves stand out to get to the point where 1 million people are going to follow them. So I see that as a huge like milestone. And I see it as like something that I would be hugely devastated over if I, like built up this huge following on say Instagram, and just of posting pictures of my face, and then it got taken away. And one, it was probably income, and two, it was this huge life goal, and they finally hit it, and then it gets like totally just dusted.
I guess that's where like we just see differently on.
Yeah, because like I get that, like sure, it's not like a thing that shows like a talent or a acquired skill, but I think acquiring followers to that large of a scale is a acquired skill, because you can't just sit here and like there are girls who post pictures of their face all the fucking time and will not get past 10,000 followers. And so, and there are girls probably prettier than that girl who do the same thing who won't get past 10,000 followers. And so she obviously has to be doing something different in order to hit.
No, and I get that.
Many.
Like if it was like for a marketing scheme, or like if they, they obviously have skills on the whole being able to reach out to people and
learning how the game of social media works.
And I get that part.
She's very good at it.
But if you're not, if you're using that as now I can put this down, not just on like a resume for a job, but like as a resume for life. Like I know that I can do this. Now I can offer it to companies. That's cool. Like make something out of it. But if like your only goal was to get more people to just look at you because you want the attention, and that's where I feel a lot of it lies, that's where I find it ridiculous. And that's where it's just like, to me, if you're not doing anything beneficial, and I'm not saying that you have to go change the fucking world. Like when I say anything beneficial, I'm talking about work for yourself, right? If you're like, I want 1 million followers because I want to start a business on my own and I want to be able to reach out to X amount of people. And
why does it matter if they start a business or not? Like
I'm saying as an example.
Yeah, but if she's doing this and it's like paying her bills and getting her a shit ton of money.
I'm saying if it is paying her bills, then fine. But I'm saying if the only goal was I just want people to look at me more, I find that to be fucking ridiculous. And that's what it sounded like when she was writing that post. It didn't say anything about jobs or goals. The only goal was to get 1 million, but it was nothing about like working for myself or doing this for an achievement, other than for me.
Okay. I think though, if you message this girl and say, we want to do a interview or a video with you where you talk about your Instagram account and what happened, I think that the only thing she's going to talk about is that. I think if you took this girl, sat her down in this chair next to us, gave her a mic and had her on the podcast, she would probably talk about a lot of other goals that she had in life.
100%. I am 100% going off of the little bit of knowledge that I have versus like, yeah, it could, I'm open to being wrong on that.
So if in the hypothetical situation where somebody's pure purpose in life and the only thing they ever want is just 1 million followers on Instagram, then sure.
Correct.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
I think that's very, very, very unlikely.
Yes and no, though, because like,
you look at it this way: you hit 1 million followers, then what? You look towards a new goal. You're not just going to sit there and just do fucking nothing.
No,
man.
but what I'm saying is what the next goal is, like 2 million followers. But what I'm saying is, if it's, I just want free clothes. I know that cool, dude. Cool. That means you're getting, technically you're getting paid because you're not buying clothes. You're just being sent clothes, whatever. If that's what you want to do, then fine. But to me, I just feel like people care about something that, like, for example, obviously, this would be dope if this podcast grew.
Yep.
But my main concern is not to have everybody listen to it. Like, I want everybody to listen to it right now. Like, I want to that's why you don't go and follow
people first. Yeah, of course.
People first, just so that you can follow them later.
It on others.
That whole business plan of like, follow these people so they'll follow back so you can unfollow them a week later. Fuck you.
Yeah, no, it's deceiving.
That's what I'm talking about. It's those types of people, and there are millions of them.
There are lots, yeah.
Thousands, millions. I'm gonna go with millions because there's a lot of fucking people on social media.
I guess I have a question. If somebody tells you that they're say that they've set out a goal for themselves, not their only goal, but they've set out a goal that they just want to get as many followers on social media as they can because purely for the fact that they just enjoy getting the attention of tons of people.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see something wrong with that?
I just see it as pointless.
What makes it pointless?
Like, what are you doing with the follow? Like, what are you doing? It's like you can use that to your advantage, but you're literally just doing it because you want people to look at you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. If it's like this goal that you want to hit just to see if you can actually do it and then make something out of it, cool. But if you're doing it just for attention, that's what I find a problem with.
What's wrong with wanting attention?
I don't see the point in it. I don't see the point in having 1 million people look at you just to make yourself feel better. I just don't see the point in it.
So like, I'm trying to figure it out because like, I feel like there are a lot of things that people do for themselves that you and I might not see the point in.
Right.
But since it's like culturally accepted or something that's like seen as like, oh, that's a cute hobby, then we're not like, oh, that's, it's pointless. Why are you doing this? You could be doing something better. But like if someone's like, oh, I like to fucking garden, and they don't do much. They just, grow plants. They don't grow food. And that's what they spend their time doing. We could see that as pointless, but we wouldn't have the same reaction to them as we would to have a reaction of someone who's spending their time getting followers on social media.
But the thing that I see the difference with that is if people are like gardening, they're doing that for themselves.
But you just said that the other person was doing it for themselves.
What I'm saying is, but they're doing it like they can't. What I'm getting at is the people that can't function without like attention from others is where I don't understand that.
And when you can't function without it, I think it's a problem, but I'm not using that in this situation.
That's what I'm using in my situation.
Okay. But like the hypothetical I brought to you.
But the hypothetical of you saying if they're just, is your hypothetical just if they just want to setting a goal?
Yeah. They want to get a goal where they're setting a goal where they just want to get as many followers as they can because they enjoy the attention.
When you say that just for them, like what exactly do you mean just for them? Like, do you mean because they like the attention? Do you mean because they're doing it for the sake of seeing if they can do it? Like seeing if they have enough like time and effort to put into something about like, yeah, I want to hit 1 million followers, but it's just to see if I can actually do it.
Say because they like the attention.
I don't get that. I just don't get it.
Yeah, but like, because what does it mean?
There is one thing that you do a lot, and it's what you do on this podcast, and you do with me a lot.
Yeah.
And it annoys me sometimes, and it's annoying me now. I feel like when I have an opinion on something, you take every fucking turn possible to see if I'm either going to change my mind or if there's like a hole in the way that I think.
I try to dig deeper to see why you have your opinion. And
what if sometimes it's just an opinion that I don't know why, but I also don't have an answer for every question that you have.
That's fine. And I don't know is totally acceptable. But what I get at is like I hit I do this with you, obviously, because we spend the majority of our time sitting down having conversation. But I like doing it with anybody that I get into a long conversation with. Is because I noticed time and time again over years and years of just trying to really, really look at who people are and what they think about the world. I noticed that someone will have an opinion on something, and then when I ask them why they have that opinion, they'll give their typical, catchphrase, knee-jerk reaction answer. And then once I question that, then it's something where they go, well, I've never thought about it that far ahead.
There's not enough time in the day to think about every single thought and find the holes in it and whatnot. And that's what I'm saying is like, sometimes I just want to have a conversation. I like this. You don't like this. We move on. But it's just like,
no. I know the reason I enjoy doing it is because, like you said, you don't have time throughout the day to dive that deep into things. And so if I see an opportunity to dive that deep into things,
that's fair. So if I say, I don't know, can we move on?
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Okay.
I don't like those people.
Okay.
I just don't like those people.
Yeah, and I like hitting the I don't knows. Like I think people should be more comfortable with saying,
I can't say I don't like those people. I don't like the way that they think with those things. Okay. Like I just don't.
Yeah.
That's just,
and that's the thing. I like doing I don't do this to
I don't think you do it to annoy me. I just think
no, that's not what I was going to say.
Okay.
I don't do this to change people's minds on things. I don't think that I have some like all-knowing, all-powerful opinion on a thing and I'm just going to pry at somebody until they change their mind to what I'm thinking. I like pushing people until they hit the I don't know mark. And then if they say they don't know, then I either sit down and we both try to figure it out because I probably don't know either.
No, that's fair.
Or I leave it with them and then they go about their day and they're thinking about it. Oh, why don't I know that? Why do I have this opinion that I was so sure of? And then Caleb fucking wouldn't stop prying at it. And now I'm thinking about it and I don't even know why I have this opinion.
But like now, I mean, after this, typically with most of my thoughts when we have these podcasts is like, unless they're really like, I don't know, life-defining things, life-changing topics, like I just move on. You and I both don't have enough time in our day. Like I have editing and Game of Thrones. Thank God, Game of Thrones is on later. But I have all these different things I got to do later on. You got a dying girlfriend,
dying girlfriend
at home. You got shit that you got to do. You have work that you have to go to tomorrow. So I just move on past that point. But when it comes down, and I get it, I'm on board with it and I don't want you to stop doing it, but I am more than likely, eventually we're going to get into a fight and it's just going to fucking happen. I'm like, just fucking leave me alone.
And that's why I don't know is always an option. Then that's the thing. I think it's cool that people can give I don't knows because I feel like a lot of people in general just aren't comfortable with that answer. They feel like it's worse than any other answer.
Right. And
like,
this is where like you're perfect for the situations of like when people have these thoughts that like are either destroying other people's lives, like literally, like I know that again, this is like a more recent topic with that whole like abortion thing of like, why do you think this way? Why do you think this way? And then it would be cool to like have them understand both sides. Right. Whereas like with this situation of me not wanting, me not liking the person with the whole 1 million followers thing, right? Or liking the way that they think. God damn it, I'm running in circles with my words. Give me a second. Whereas like that situation, I'm not going in and changing anybody's life with the way that I think with my opinion, because I'm just most of the time keeping it to myself. If I don't really like it, it's like, okay, they can keep doing what they're doing. I just don't like it. Versus like an actual life-changing topic where if your thought
something super fucking relevant,
like if you took
important.
a vote on it, it's actually going to change somebody. That's where I think you come in perfectly.
Yeah, and when I guess I should do a better job of like revisiting or touching on like my main point when I like try to like pick apart someone's opinion.
Because we got too deep in that and I was like, just give me a second.
Well, like my thing is like I have the same tendency when it comes to like seeing someone who seems to only care about attention and then just like getting completely irritated with it. But then in my head, which I didn't speak aloud, which I should have, but I thought to myself, why? Like, why do I get annoyed with people who just want attention? Is there actually something wrong with that, or am I just getting annoyed with it? And so that's why I was like, okay, I want to visit this point. I want to think like,
I want to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, because like I'll see somebody who purely cares for attention and it'll like piss me the fuck off because I'm like, but the reason it does annoy me is because it's never genuine. It's always people like putting up a facade or acting a certain way so they can get attention. And then I thought, okay, if that's what annoys me is the disingenuine like part of people wanting attention, what if somebody just straight up like purely open just was like, no, I just really want attention. Like I really love having people's attention. And if they were just super honest about it, not like lying about it or running from the fact that they do, then I thought, would that be a problem? Would I still not like that? Or would it be suddenly acceptable because they're being honest about it? And so that's why I was going, okay, if this person says, I want 1 million followers because I like the attention, that's literally why I'm doing it. And I'm totally comfortable with that being the reason I'm doing it. Is it a problem? And so I was going to you with maybe I want to know if Nick has an answer for this, and because I don't, because I've never talked about it. But so when I do this, I need to retouch a lot on like what my main question is. Because
of the fact that it's like, you're putting baby in a corner. No, but really you're putting me in a corner, and it's just like, and then it just the question after question, and I'm getting smaller and smaller, and you're getting bigger and bigger, and I'm like, all right, dude, I fucking get it. But yeah, if we were to go back and you're just like, no, I'm getting to a main point of like, this is why I think that, then yes.
Yeah, because that's my thing. I hit
100%. I think it would be so much easier.
Yeah, and I think I like hitting points with people where we both go, like, fuck, I don't know. I've never thought about that way. Like, do I really think that people wanting attention is a bad thing? Or do I just think that people doing anything they can to get attention without just being openly honest about it is what the problem is?
And that whole thing with like the disingenuous nature of people doing things, that's where it bothers me, right?
Same.
And that's where it would like bother you.
Definitely.
But those are personal beliefs, and it doesn't matter what we think on that. It just depends on what they're doing. Like, yeah, the majority could think like, oh, disingenuous behavior is wrong. And to some people, it's not. Like, they can do whatever they want. It's like, whatever way you get to the top, go fuck yourself. I don't like that, you know?
And it's like an example that comes to mind with it is like, and I may get some flack for this, but I don't care. I'm totally willing to again change my mind. But the whole idea of like when girls get pissed off that guys say that they wear a certain outfit for attention, something that's like revealing, and they say, "Oh no, I purely wear this for me." I don't agree with that. I think it's not purely for them. You
are going to get flack for that.
I will get flack for it. Like, because I don't think anyone like really wears something to change their appearance solely for themselves. I think it could be a majority for themselves, but there's always the factor of how other people are viewing them.
Are you like solidifying it with that always thing?
Like, I don't think that anyone, when it comes to their appearance, does something 100% just for themselves. I think there's always, whether it be a small amount or a large amount, and they're lying about it, it has to do with how other people are perceiving them. Because that's like kind of like the whole point of appearance.
But let's just say 100% of the people in your life tell you that something doesn't look good on you and that you should change it, but you like it on yourself, right? I'm saying if, huge hypothetical, 100% of people are like, why are you doing that? And you're like, because I want to do it. And nobody likes it but you. Is that, you still think that way?
Okay, so let me try to make sure I'm getting it right.
You're saying
so somebody does something to their appearance that they are doing
that
100%
everybody
for
says
themselves.
That doesn't look that good on you. Everybody in their life says that. Everyone in the world that ever sees them is just like, yeah, it doesn't fit you. But they're just like, well, I'm going to keep it because I like it. It looks good on me. That's what I think.
Then yeah.
Okay. So what I mean by that is, I'd say about 90% of the people in my life told me not to get the tattoos all over my body. Didn't care. I literally did not care. And I mean this, and I still mean this. Like, I don't get tattoos thinking like people are going to think these are dope. I've actually been walking around with long sleeves, and people were asking me like, don't you have a bunch of tattoos? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, why don't you show them more? I'm like, why do I have to show them all? Like, what? They're for me. Like, I got them for me. I like the way tattoos look. I like looking at my arms and going, those look dope. Like, everybody that's like, oh, your tattoos look so sick. I'm like, thank you. Appreciate it. But like, I've never done it to get laid. I've never done it to get a girl's attention. And I never got it to be the cool guy. I just really wanted tattoos. And I genuinely mean that. Like, no bullshit.
I think tattoos are a really solid point. I think that's like a really good example of something that someone at least should do purely for themselves, or shouldn't. I mean, who am I to say that you should only do it for yourself?
I know a lot of fucking people that did it just because they want to look cool, like straight up,
and that's totally fine.
Yeah,
like and that's the thing. If you're honest about that, that's totally fine. Right. If you're not, if you're like, no, I did it for me, purely for me, and then someone has an opinion on your tattoo and they're super fucking hurt about it, it's like, whoa, what happened to it being just about you?
Back to the attention thing, though. And that's where it's like disingenuous nature, personal opinion, your personal opinion, don't like it. But if somebody says, I just want a bunch more people to look at me, I personally don't like it. What are your thoughts on that?
If someone's just like,
and they're straight up about it, like I just want,
they got tattoos because they just want
they
more
want more
attention. It would depend on how they like said it. Like, I guess it would just.
Well, no, because you said with the whole like following thing too. Yeah. You said as long as they were upfront about it the whole time, that you would be perfectly fine with it. So.
Yeah, no, I like I said, I'm being like realistic, like in real life here. Like, it depend on how they said it. Like if they like were trying to be honest about it, but it was coming off as super weird, I'd be like, you're being weird about this. But if like they could frame it well and just be like, oh, like I purely just like how people view me. Like I like putting up this image of myself that becomes more and more and more appealing to everybody else, right? Because I enjoy that. Then I'm fine with it.
Yeah, to each their own. However, that's where to each their own comes in. And it's just like, that's not something that I care for. Like,
yeah. And that's the thing. Like, I'm not the same way. I'm not the same way either. I don't purely, personally, wrong word. I don't personally care for it either. But like, I don't like get any which way like bothered by it.
Yeah. Like if somebody were to tell me like, oh, I just want all the attention in the world, be like, cool, do your thing. I just don't want to be a part of it. No thanks.
Yeah. And
don't want to associate myself with that.
At the same time, like, I feel like if somebody was honest about like just wanting a bunch of attention, and then I would still probably think that there's something wrong within their own self-esteem to which they feel like they need that attention.
Yeah.
I would still like have that opinion, even though like I would try at the same time to be like, but you're totally honest about it, so that's fine. Because that's the thing, like I think it's very instinctual in people to like really dislike like disingenuine behavior. I think it's not as much an opinion as it is like instinctual, because that shit would get you killed if you could not pick up on it.
Wait, say that part again? Sorry.
I think it's like inherently natural for us to dislike disingenuine qualities. Like, I think that's not like something that like, oh, I just personal opinion, I don't like when people are disingenuine. Like, I think it's hardwired like into us. Like it's instinctual. Yeah. And so I think that's why it doesn't matter what you're doing, whether it be like you gardening. If you're disingenuous with it, people are going to be like, fuck your garden. Even though like, when would you ever hear that?
I don't honestly think I could think of a situation like that.
But if someone was like, oh yeah, no, like I'm, doing this just for myself. Like it's just something I like, but they're actually doing it because they really hate their neighbors, and like the plants that they put in the ground are like sucking away at their lawn.
Yeah.
You'd be like, fuck your garden.
Right. I got distracted because, did you read Linda's messages yet or no?
I read a bunch of them.
Did you see if she sent any questions? Because she said that she was going to, but I don't know if she meant a separate message or if it was in the messages and that thing.
I think she said she was going to get to it. Worst comes to worst.
Because I didn't want to miss any questions. And on top of that, not to talk about time, but I got like another 40 minutes and then we got to wrap up because I got to get out of here.
Sounds good to me.
I mean, we don't necessarily need to talk about, we'll kind of just lightly tap on it, even though we already did in the beginning a bit. But the episode that it's not lost. It's just, it's locked in my laptop.
The frozen episode, the vaulted episode.
Yeah, I mean, in short, we recorded an episode 2 days ago that was supposed to come out when this episode came out.
It was supposed to be what this episode is,
but
then, it's not.
Yeah, it's locked in my laptop. My laptop broke really great.
Dude, literally, we were sitting here recording. We're putting out a killer fucking episode. Like, the shit was just going back and forth on fire. Yeah. And then out of nowhere, you get
You
the
hear
like,
"Ba-ding!"
yeah, like, and we're like, oh, what's that? And you're like, my laptop's at 6%. And you were like, Caleb, I told you to plug it in. And I was like, I did plug it in. And then we looked at the cord, and the cord had the little light on it showing that there was power to it. And we were like, what the fuck? And you sat there.
So my charger port fried on my laptop.
Yeah, your laptop itself wasn't getting the charge of the cord and everything.
The cord's
was good.
Fine. It's just the laptop itself fried. That's what I get for switching up laptops, even though it says refurbished and it says Dell, refurbished it themselves. Great. But yeah, so that episode it's there and it'll be out next Monday.
Hopefully.
Oh no, it will be. And because on the list of like things that Dell sends you on that little piece of paper, it says like, do not wipe the computer. So they'll like, if they need to replace the battery, they'll make sure that they don't mess with anything on the motherboard or the memory or whatever.
Yeah.
Or on the SSD. But yeah, so the episode's there and it'll be coming out. So I don't think, I was going over it in my head, I don't think there's anything that we talked about where like there'd be like a confusion in the timeline where this came out first and that one comes out later, even though that was
pretty generic.
Yeah, so I think that'll be fine. But that's pretty frustrating. I even tried plugging it in earlier just to see.
Just to see if you wanted to get mad again.
Hopeful thing, and nothing. Now it won't even turn on at all.
Yeah, like there's no juice in it.
It's just gone.
Yeah, so the cool thing was the little ding came on, and you're like, my laptop's at 6%, and we're like, fuck, and we were like, do we keep going? And we're like, let's pause it here.
Literally in the middle.
And then we saved it, and then like a couple minutes later, it died.
Yeah,
and had we not saved it, we would have lost whole fucking episode of recording.
It's probably like
one of our best ones,
like just conversations, just in general.
It was one of like our one-on-ones. It was one of our best ones. We were on
top of it, so. That'll be out next Monday. Do you have any points in your phone? Because there's some in my phone that I keep like
neglecting.
Neglecting actually is perfect.
Real quick, I want to revisit the point that we already made, but kind of like close it off. Yeah. So when I'm prying at stuff with you,
yes,
it's more or less I'm looking for like this underlying. Because basically, what I think is there's people and they have their opinions, right? Mm-hmm. And then if you dig deeper than that, you have their philosophies on life,
right?
And I love touching on those much more than, I love touching on those, but I love getting to those through people's opinions. So I may dig deeper on conversation that people may feel like is like, should be already done, or you seem to have already answered. And yet I'm like changing the question and asking it a different way, because like, that's one of the ways that you get to people's philosophies on life, rather than just like giving yours and then they give theirs back, or you just overtly ask.
Yeah.
Then the cool thing is it's like, okay, the foundation of people's worldviews, like the bare bottom philosophies, that's what molds the opinions people have on the world. And so if you look at the opinion, you can just follow the roots back to what the philosophy is.
Right.
And a lot of times I feel like people have their philosophies, but they also adopt opinions from other people that just sound good, but aren't rooted into a philosophy that they actually have.
Right.
And so I like asking people about their opinions and wondering like, hey, maybe this person's opinion isn't organically made. It's not something that just like they sat there and thought of. They probably heard somebody give an opinion and they thought, oh, that makes a lot of sense. It sounds good on paper. I'm going to adopt that opinion.
Correct.
Yeah. And that's something that like I do, everybody does. But like you still have to then turn around and like think it through. Right. And so I feel like a lot of times people will, sometimes without even realizing, adopt an opinion. And when I go, okay, like with asking question after question after question, I'm really going, what's your philosophy behind this? Why do you have this opinion?
Yeah.
People will get either irritated because they realize that it's not making sense with other shit that they've said and it's hypocritical. And then they're like frustrated because they feel like they sound dumb because they've just gone out and said something exact opposite of what they also have said. Or people get frustrated with the idea of saying, I don't know. People get frustrated with just going like they feel like some answer is better than no answer. And so they will scramble and grasp and grab for any type of answer before they will ever admit just, I don't know. I haven't thought of that.
That's a solid point, because like one of my first reactions during the conversation that we had just like 20 minutes ago or 10 minutes ago was fucking, hey man, give me a second. Like it was like my defense started coming up and it was like starting to like fight back and just be like, just fucking let me breathe. And because back then, and this is why I think our conversations have been super beneficial to me. I know they've been beneficial to you because just not like we both talk about it all the time, but just in the fact that like you 10 minutes ago said, maybe I could be better at this. You learn that fucking fast. And it's good.
I think genuinely the conversation and like deeper.
Hold on, really quick.
Oh, yeah.
Because there was another point that I was going to make with like how I started defending myself and started telling you like, you know what, dude, kind of annoys me when you do. Because back then I couldn't have these conversations. I would get into fights with my brothers all the time. I'm talking either just screaming or fist fights because it was just like you questioned what I said, you questioned the way that I think, and I would like once I got,
shall not be questioned.
Once I got a car, it was like, oh, now I can fucking leave when I get into a fight with the family when it wasn't even really a fight.
Yeah,
it was just like
butting heads,
right? And so with that, like I feel with myself that. Because of these conversations, because of like our friendship, not just the podcast, but everything that we've talked about in the past, I've been able to like expand on my way of thinking,
like soften on that,
and know that when I'm wrong, I can admit that I'm fucking wrong.
Yeah, and nobody, because that's the thing. A lot of people who have problems admitting that they're wrong about something either are betting their entire life on this said opinion or worldview, or have grown up around people who constantly like give I told you so, blah, 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 made them feel bad for being wrong about something.
Right.
It's because if you grew up in an environment where it was totally acceptable and open to be wrong about stuff, then you would admit it freely.
Right.
But when you get into an environment where you're like pushed into the ground and made fun of and stomped on because, I gotcha, bitch, you were wrong.
Yeah.
Then you'd never want to admit when you don't know something. You would rather go down white knuckling on some bullshit than you would just letting go and being like, okay, I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's think about it.
In my family, it was like, if we got you caught in a corner and you're wrong, it was like pick on you, but like never like you're worthless, that kind of thing.
No,
it was just like
too harsh.
It was just the typical like brotherly love, and my sister as well. Just
but it would be emphasized that you took a loss there.
Oh yeah. And then when you're a kid, you're frustrated. You don't know how to handle your emotions. You're growing, and you think
everyone's condescending to you,
right? And it's just like I'm younger, and everyone's picking on me, and it's just like, yeah, that is true. But as you get older, like you can very easily like surround yourself with people that challenge you in the good way.
Dude, I get so excited when I get challenged in a good way. Like when someone makes a solid ass point
I've done
to
that
me.
to you maybe a handful of times, and God damn, do I feel good when I do.
Dude, when I get stumped on something, I genuinely start getting really excited about it because I'm like, fuck, like something that like totally
challenged you.
Totally caught me off guard. I'm on my back foot, wasn't ready for a curveball here.
Yeah.
Like just fucked me up. And I'm like, shit, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And saying like, I don't know, like that.
It feels good.
Rather than saying like, I don't fucking know, bro. Like it's two totally different worlds, but the same words.
Right. Damn. It's just, I like I said, the whole being able to grow up and realize that now I'm not shutting it down.
Yeah.
And now I have somebody that like I have these conversations with all the time. So it's like now when I get into fights, so for example, I got into a fight with one of my brothers like 6 months ago or so.
Yep.
And it was like we were trying to just talk it out. But and no offense to him, love the guy to death. Like no, it was just like he had some alcohol in him, so he didn't know when to stop. Like no one, you don't know your limits, you don't know your boundaries. That's totally fine. And it was conversation. There wasn't any attacking, but it was just like me admitting like I don't know, and him just kept going and going.
Why don't you know? When I hit that point with someone, I go, okay, together, let's figure it out.
Right.
Then.
And then it was just kind of like, and then eventually we just got into this fucking just, all right, dude, I'm fucking done.
Fuck
I'm done.
you.
Fuck this.
No, fuck me.
And
fuck me. Fuck you.
Yeah. And so it was one of those things where we ended up squashing it like 2 hours later. I mean, he called me. He's like, that was my bad. Like very adult, dude. We grew up. Cool. Like that's how it should be versus like, fuck, dude, way back in the day, that same brother, we had an issue where we didn't, and I'm not going to talk about that one.
Tell me strawberries aren't red and I'll spit in your face.
We didn't talk for 8 months. And I lived with him. Like he would walk in, not a word, not a fucking word.
Damn.
So it was just
That's
like
no communication.
Looking
right there.
back on that, seeing where I'm at now, where it's just like, okay, you're cornered. You can show some frustration, but you don't need to blow up, dude, by any means. And it's adulting. It's growing up. Dude, feels good.
I think conversations like these are like a muscle.
Oh yeah.
And the more you work them out, like the better you fucking get out of them.
I 100% agree on that.
Yeah. And that's the thing that I'm going to start like getting better at is like trying to, and I do this a lot with my girlfriend whenever we have disagreements and I realize that I never have conversation with someone as much as I do with you because of this.
Right.
And the only other person is Danny.
Right.
And so since I have conversation with Danny literally every day, we're going to run into times where we get into arguments.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm prepared with how to deal with arguments with my girlfriend, but not prepared with how to deal with arguments with my friends because I literally never get into arguments with my friends. But what I do with Danny that usually works for both of us, and something that I'm going to start implementing with like us, let's say if we get into a disagreement and we can feel it's like getting heated, is you step back and you remind each other that we're not enemies. We're actually people on the same team, just trying to figure out a topic. And that's what I do with her. Like when we're arguing about something, I'm like, hey, you have to realize I'm not the enemy. You're not the enemy. We're a couple. We're together. We're in a relationship. Yeah. We're on the same team. We're allies. And we have to figure out what is causing both of us this dismay rather than one person doing it or the other.
That's where, and this has been a part of my vocabulary in the past like few years, is knowing the difference between a debate or disagreement and an argument. Mm-hmm. Two completely different fucking things.
It's very different how they're
like
held.
Arguments is when like you're going for that fucking person's neck and you're just it's dog eat dog. Versus like a debate is like we don't agree. See if
Let's present each other's argument.
Come to a middle ground.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is like when you use, I think the word argument is used so loosely.
Well, because argument has different definitions,
right?
And so it's like which word are you using of argument? Are you using like heated yelling
and
argument?
That literally can change an entire conversation.
Definitely.
If you like you just said, we're not enemies, we're on the same team, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It's like we're not having an argument, we're having a debate. We're just it's just getting a little heated because depending on the vocabulary that you use, like you can ask somebody to do you a favor and then you can ask it a different way and have them be like thinking
totally
that it was
like
rude.
Turn sour
like
on
the words please and thank you.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. That can literally go like, hey, get me water.
Yeah.
Versus, hey, can you please give me some water?
Thank you.
Thank you. Changes it to completely the same exact action said differently.
That's why although manners come off as old fashioned, they're old fashioned for a reason. Like there are some things that are stupid traditions that have been kept up for a really long time because of the fact that they're purely tradition.
Yeah.
But then there are also things that have stood the test of time for a reason, and it's because they work so well.
Right.
Manners being one of those.
Right. And that's why I will always overdo it. I don't give if somebody's like, all right, dude, like you said it enough. It's like, okay, I'm just making sure that you hear them because there are times like I used to get into huge fights with my dad back when he was married to his last wife because she was a demon and she caused a lot of problems in the family. And
you're like, I hope you're hearing this, Jessica.
I won't say her name, but she'll never hear these. She might. Who knows? Maybe she'll be like, wow, I never thought he'd do a podcast. And then she's going to hear this episode and be like, I don't like you at all. I don't wish bad upon her, but back then I did. So my dad, had a huge disconnect with the whole family because of her. Like she got into his head. This guy was
picking the lover before the blood.
Yes. And it was terrible. She did some fucked up things to the family, like tore a lot of people apart. But my dad had this disconnect with me and my brother who were still living with him during that time period because a lot of the older brothers either moved out or they were always gone.
There's a big age gap.
Yeah, they had cars and they had jobs. And so my younger brother and I were always home. And my dad would be like, send us text, or he would just come home and be like, you didn't do the dishes. You didn't do the laundry. You didn't do this. It was like, hey, we were at school all day and then we have homework and we're trying to also have a social life. Like we forgot, a reminder would be fine. And it took, I think, 6 months to a year for me to finally get it through his head and for me to be screaming at him and screaming at her that like, hey, dude, a please and a thank you would fucking help.
Yeah.
Because if you were to just be like, you didn't do the dishes, do you mind doing them for me, please? Like I asked you before, you didn't do them this time. you're reminding me that I fucked up, but you are also just asking again.
You're
now,
being polite about it. So that makes you feel worse.
Right.
You're like,
if you've asked 10 times, you know.
Yeah, then it only goes so far. Then the please and thank you obviously don't hold any water.
But the very first one, just because like you know that I'm supposed to be doing these when I get home, maybe I forgot. Maybe I need a reminder.
Or because like they think that they've said it 10 times, but it's just been 10 different occasions spent over a course of time.
Right.
So like, oh, like
or they're in their head.
Yeah.
And they've yeah. So exactly all of that. And it was just like when he finally started doing it, the fights literally stopped. Like that was it. They stopped.
The one missing key.
That was it. And that's all I ever told him. I was like, dude, if you want us to do these things, just say please and thank you. You know what? Fuck the please. Just tell me thank you after I do something. Don't just walk into the room as I'm doing something, stare at me as I'm doing it, making sure that I'm doing it, and then walk out.
Yeah. And it's that or like those like disingenuous, like passive aggressive thank yous.
Yeah.
Like, oh, finally, thank you.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, that sure fucking helped.
Right. And it's just like, dude, you don't need to make it sound that way. And again, stressing the point like I always will whenever my dad's around. Great guy, just a lot of fucking miscommunications growing up. Yeah. But I mean, like I said, that just helps a lot. The one thing that I did want to do, like I said, with the notes, because what I do with notes is I either jot them down immediately and then leave them just so I don't forget, or I'll like talk to text them in my car. So I actually want, before I say I need to be positive reinforcement, I wrote something down that says I wanted to make a point that I saw during an autism seminar that I went to. They stressed the point that there needs to be positive reinforcement, that we only ever stress to people when they're doing something wrong, and that we never give people pats on the back for doing something right. It's literally what I just talked about. And I wrote this note, I remember like 2 or 3 months ago. A normal day should be recognized as good. We shouldn't only point out the negatives. So this was a fucking point, dude. When I wrote that down, I was like, I want to talk about this so badly, of just the fact, and I think we might have touched base on it at one point, of just like positive reinforcement, stuff like that. But it was the point of a normal day shouldn't just be like, you know, disregarded. Like if there's nothing significant throughout the day, that should be a win rather than, you know, whatever, just ignored.
Rather than like it was a day wasted.
Because people pay attention to the highs and the lows, but nothing in between.
And the in between is the majority of their life.
Right. So it's just like when the negative happens, then you automatically like associate all the neutrals with the negative, versus like if you had. And this also goes into the point of like if somebody does something negative, right? And this was a problem that I had that I've been working on hard. But like a good portion of a good half of my last relationship was I did exactly what my dad did. I never recognized the good parts, you know? I wouldn't say never. I wasn't a fucking monster by any means, but it was just like, you know, if there was something that needed fixing, that was more talked about than something where it was just like, yeah,
this was nice.
This was nice. Or these are the good things. These are the bad things. How do we work on the bad things?
There seemed to be a lack of appreciation for the normal.
Until like I realized that I was doing that, and then I turned it around. But I constantly say, then it was too late. It was like, oh, okay, the relationship's already on its way down. There's no saving it. But that was with like everything in my life. Is that's, you know, I've only ever known to do stuff like that. You never got like if I got a good grade, that was cool, but it was never, if I got a bad grade, it was the end of the fucking world.
Yeah.
And it was just like, but the good grades were just like
expected.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Of just,
it's like, cause that's why I have this problem. And I've never really thought too much about it until this conversation that we're having right now. But I really don't like the phrase, never applaud a fish for swimming.
That's fucked up.
Because it's like, it was one of those things
I've never
where it's
heard
like
that before, but I like it.
Because basically it was like this, you know, those pictures on Twitter of like the girl putting her hair up in a ponytail, like ready to fucking suck dick. And the caption is, when you went through his phone and he was loyal. And then they put up that thing, and then someone was like, oh, like never applaud a fish for swimming or whatever. And it's like, yeah, you should expect your you should expect your significant other not to cheat on you.
Right.
But at the same time, you should be grateful that you have a relationship where you're not getting cheated on.
Right.
And it's cool to show appreciation for something that is still normal,
right?
But
you can
good.
You can expect the normal stuff,
yeah,
but still appreciate it. Yeah, when it happens.
I do this weird thing throughout my day that I've like somehow branded in my brain, and it's super rare. Never really do it too often. I'd say only a few times throughout a year, but I will be like walking somewhere or sitting down and something, like literally the most average like instances within my life. And I stop and I look at my body and think about like, and feel like all of like, myself breathing and blinking and thinking and all this stuff. And I take appreciation for the fact that I'm currently not sick and I'm currently not hurting.
I do the same thing. I just never talk about it.
I never talk about it, but like because I remind myself when I am sick about how good it feels to not be sick.
Right.
Or when I do have an injury, how good it feels to just have like perfectly working like limbs or like perfectly working organs. And then as soon as you get past the injury or sickness, then your appreciation for it goes out the window with the sickness.
Yeah.
And so I do my best when I'm walking around or I'm doing something or like I'm, putting myself through like physical activity where I'm like breathing hard and sweating and like really like living.
Yeah.
I just stop and appreciate the fact that I can do this.
It's self-awareness.
Yeah. Like how great is it that I can breathe out of both nostrils
and
right now?
Remember the saying when we were kids of just like to stop and smell the roses?
Yeah.
That's literally what that is.
Exactly.
We were just never told. You're never taught past that.
Yeah,
like, what do you mean? Like, do I really
do it?
Stop and just appreciate roses when I see them? It's like, no. And that was a thing that I started doing when I worked at a yogurt shop when I was 19. I was going to work, coming home, going to school, coming home, sleep, eat, repeat over and over and over. It was just a routine day after day. And one day I was driving to work and I had realized that, and this is no bullshit, this isn't some fucking corny like thing, but I'd realized that the trees on the way to work were blooming. Like the green was coming back and all the pinks and purples that we have out here and everything else, and that they were full. And I had no recollection of them ever growing up until the point where it happened. I didn't see the process. I remembered them being dead and being alive. And I was like, that takes months. Mm-hmm. How did I not pay attention to this at all?
Yeah.
I just had this set my eyes on the road, get to work, mop, do the fucking work shit, go home, go to school, routine after routine. And then finally it was like, I know it's, I'm not saying like, don't pay attention to the road, but like seriously, just take a look at the things around you.
Yeah. Like I do the thing where like I'll like look at my hands and I'll like take a deep breath in and I'll like remind myself that I'm living and get yourself out of your brain.
Yeah.
Like stop, like take your focus off of the next thought that you're going to have and put your focus on the here and now, the literally like really put attention on your senses.
Yeah.
What you're seeing, what you're smelling, what you're feeling, what you're hearing, and like put 100% of your focus on that and that alone.
Yeah.
And then you'll like when I do it, I get this like little shot of joy.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, fuck, I'm alive. And then it feels good. And I didn't realize until I actually started getting into it. And this is something I can talk about on a different episode, but that is exactly what meditation is.
You want to write it down so you don't forget?
Well, I'll remember it because it'll naturally come up again. But like when I started like trying out meditation and seeing like, what all the hype was about it, I realized very quickly that all it was training your brain to purely focus on the present and what you're sensing. And that's it. And not letting yourself get distracted by the thoughts in your head.
Because you're constantly stuck between the three things being past, present, and future.
Yeah. And you think about the future during the present and you dwell on the past during the present. The present doesn't get its own like category. It's just now.
That's why when people say that whole thing of like, and now you're noticing your breathing.
Yeah.
And I love when people do it. I really do. I genuinely like it because it's just like you're like, oh shit. And when you take that deep breath and you can feel like your chest stretching and your lungs start to feel like
you can feel like there's
sting.
Bottom levels.
It's almost like, it's like a sting kind of like this.
It's like there's bottom levels of your lungs that don't really get filled every breath.
Right.
And then when you take that deeper breath, you're like, oh fuck.
Like, and it feels like there's an opening, right?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
it just,
it's like
expanding.
Opening. Yeah.
I fucking love it because then you start to actually realize like, oh shit, I've been on autopilot this whole time.
Exactly. It kind of like shatters the glass.
And what's weird about like the whole past, present, future thing is like present is literally every second, every microsecond that is happening in your life.
Yeah.
There's no way to constantly pay attention to it. Otherwise you wouldn't
be able to plan shit. You wouldn't be able to think of what's going to happen next. It's not possible, like you said.
Like the word possible, you just said it. Now that's past.
Now it's gone.
3 seconds,
it's instantly
4
the
seconds.
past. Yeah.
It sucks
because it's so fast,
and you get stuck on that. And then like you start, your perception gets fucked up of your brain recreating past events, and you don't know. That's why the podcasts are so dope. Is because it's fucking proof that this was said.
Exactly.
And you can listen to it again and again and again and again. Mm-hmm. Which also brings me to a point of like not just meditation, but daydreaming. There was a more recent study, but I don't remember where it was from. I just remember it was on a podcast. And speaking of past, it may be screwed up in my head, but it's what I got from it.
Yeah.
Of just like, they were talking about how kids, I think I heard it on the TED Radio Hour, about how daydreaming is like extremely important for not only everybody, but like especially for like high school kids, because that's when you have a lot going on in your life.
Yeah.
It's school, homework, friends, sleep, eat, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it's like there needs to be a point, especially, and they say now, like they're saying that it needs to be for adults too. You go to work all day. You need to come home, and they said for the kids to just let them go in their room, put everything to the side, don't even lay in bed, lay on the floor, and just look at the fucking roof and daydream for like an hour. Because they said that in daydreaming, you're actually solving hundreds of different problems in your head that you didn't, need to think about directly, where you're just kind of sitting there, and I'm talking you're gone. Like your brain is just mush. It's not actually mush. You're just like on this fucking, it's like a free falling or floating through space kind of thing. And you're just tapping these things that are just like, oh shit, I can figure out all these at once. Like you're just tapping them and getting them out of the way. It's actually super beneficial for you.
Yeah. And it's where you like sharpen your creativity and your intuition. And it's super like slept on for lack of a better term. And what I do a lot of the times when I'm daydreaming is I'll fantasize about like perfect situations and perfect scenarios and everything. And then I'll think of steps that help me get close to it.
Yeah.
I never truly ever like get disappointed when, everything isn't perfect, but I'll do that. And then another thing that I love doing is I love prepping myself for problems that I haven't even had yet. So I'll put myself in a situation of an issue that I think could arise within the next like day that I know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like say I'm going to go to work, and I
coach
and I put myself in the situation that, like the train came and it put me late to work. Like how am I going to solve this problem, or how am I going to explain myself if I'm with my girlfriend but she can't end up, or like if I plan on hanging out with my girlfriend but she can't end up like seeing me that day, then how am I going to emotionally prepare myself so I don't get bummed out, or so I don't like have nothing to do? Or like if I were to come up to this person and say something to them and they immediately were turned off by what I was saying, or like irritated with me, how would I save it? How would I flip it around?
Right.
And so I'll sit there and I'll just like run myself past like all of these scenarios and everything. And every now and then one of them happens, and I automatically have an answer like right out the gate without even having to react. Yeah. And it feels so good because you come off as such a natural with whatever you're doing. But like, that was really quick. And it's just because I had already thought about this, like without it sounding too weird. Like I'd already spent some time figuring out what I was going to do in the first place.
And that's where I like the whole, good Lord, you want to hit that cup any harder? That's where, God, dude, I have this like, feels like a misplaced rib, like I sat wrong or something. Fucking kept moving my arm. It hurts. Anyway.
Man, hangovers are weird.
Fuck you. So that's where I like the whole idea of preventative care, not just, and I learned this from Casey Neistat.
Like with your body?
With everything. Mental, spiritual, fucking physically, all of it. Is Casey Neistat's a huge YouTuber, has a podcast, and he was talking about take preventative care rather than only going to the doctor when you get sick. Right. Yeah. And it's like, that's why, go to therapy before your brain actually breaks. And that's where it's like these conversations literally
Are therapeutic.
They have kept me not just like on a neutral, like I am so calm throughout the majority of my day because of these conversations, because of the conversations we have off of the podcast, the conversations I have with other people. It's just like, it's preventative care, which is why when I start to have like a really bad day, now I'm able to pull myself back out of it rather than letting it consume the entire day. Where if I get really angry at something, I can instantly just go like, okay, dude, is it worth it? And then there are times where I can't control it, where it's just like, yep, you have to feel angry. You haven't felt angry in weeks. Just fucking, it's the emotion, right? And so it's all the preventative care that was taken before that allows me to be where I'm at now.
Yeah, like the reason you don't get sick isn't because, you know, like right then and there you were about to get sick and then you took vitamin C. It was because you had been taking vitamin C for the weeks past.
Whereas like I got sick like 2 days ago, the night we went out and drank, I started to feel like a sore throat. And then with the hangover, that didn't help. My body was shutting down. My immune system was shit. And today it's gone because I've been taking my vitamins. I eat food at proper times. I've been drinking a lot of water. I'm good. It's just, it's taking preventative action so that you don't break. And I'm a huge fucking proponent of that. I think that's a huge thing everybody should be doing.
Yeah, I think shit, I'm gonna have to start taking vitamins before our trip.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm not trying to get sick.
Yeah. It's just taking vitamins helps. That's why I like working out. If you don't have the time to work out, stretch throughout your day. Mm-hmm. People say like do yoga because yoga does really good things for your body, but it also does good things for your mind. It actually like releases like a lot of tension throughout your body, which then allows your mind to like release tension as well. And because it's this very like zenned out state that's like daydreaming while also doing something physical, so that you're figuring shit out. It's Pondering. Just super relaxing. There's so many different things. That's why when people are like, I don't drink water and I don't work out, I'm like, oh, good God, you must feel like shit.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like you don't put oil in your car and it's still running for now.
That's a really good point. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's like you know, your car eventually needs an oil change. Mm-hmm. You know, mine's every like 10,000 miles. It's good to go to 12, maybe 13.
Yeah,
start getting into that 14, dude, 17 range.
I've run into people that were like they drink like Monsters or Rock Stars every fucking day.
Jesus
Christ. And they're like, I can't remember the last time I had a glass of water. And I'm like, you're fine. Like, you may be okay now.
Yeah.
But dude, give it a year of doing this shit, 2 years, 5 years, whatever your genetics allows. You're fucked,
You're going
to
feel like fucking shit.
You're fucked.
And I don't like, my dad did it for years. It was just like his breakfast was like coffee and a Monster. And he ended up getting a fucking stomach disease. It's oh God, I forget. But basically, like his stomach lining is basically burned away,
non-existent.
And if he were to continue that same diet, to which shout out to my stepmom for fucking putting him on a stricter diet, so now he's doing better. You can develop cancer. Oh, gastritis. I think it's gastritis. I think that's the one that he has.
Yo no sé.
But yeah, it's what I explained. And so if you don't take care of it, it can develop into cancer. And I was like, this is because you didn't take care of your body. And here I am, 24, with my stomach issue that I've had for 2 years. And I've been trying to, you know, take care of it on my own, which now it's like, go to a fucking doctor, dude. You know, my insurance is expensive, but that's fine. I have to figure it out anyway. But that's where I fucked up, right? I could have gone to the doctor. I take that back. I went like a year ago actually right around the time when it started, and the doctor kept giving me the same medication over and over, even though I told him it wasn't working. And so that just made me want to think, okay, I could go to a different doctor. I can try and see if I can do like natural options on my own to see if I can fix it. Finally, now with the vitamins, it's starting to help, but I still need to go.
Yeah.
It's just like, could have taken preventative care, you know, could have gone to another fucking doctor. I could have been perfectly fine now.
Could have curbed those bad habits before they turned into bad consequences.
Exactly.
And I wish that there was a way, and there may be this thing that you can do, but I do not hear of it often, and I do not think it's a readily available thing that you can do, and it's probably expensive as fuck if it exists. It probably does. But rather than you just go to the doctor for like a checkup, go for like an extensive, full blown test of anything and everything.
Always wanted
like,
to do this.
I've wanted to go to a doctor, maybe like even if I have to spend like the whole day there, but they screen for like Alzheimer's and cancer and like STD check. They make sure you're hydrated. They make sure like your bones aren't too like brittle or that like your muscles aren't stressing, and like they go over everything in your body and then give you like all of the results.
Depending on that health insurance, that shit's gonna cost you a pretty penny.
Yeah, thousands and thousands and thousands of
Especially
dollars.
with my insurance, it's trash.
Ugh, yeah, no thanks.
So that's why it's like I've been wanting to do that, but I've never had an insurance that like covered enough of it.
It would be so cool to like get a CAT scan and like see how your brain is doing and like all of this shit. And they very well could be like, oh shit, look, there might be a little bit of like cancer in your leg. Like, but right now we could get rid of it in like a week.
Yep.
Like, oh, that's great. How convenient. Like shit like that, where you never would have known until there was a lump.
Yep.
And it would just be so nice because you would get to like snip all of those little bad things that could happen to you before they happen to you.
Right.
Rather than a checkup where they're like, blood pressure's good. I can see your uvula, cough here, breathe here, get out of my office.
Yeah. Or they check in your ear. Oh, you got a lot of wax in this one. What does that one mean? Like, is it going to be clogged in a couple months? Like, can we take some fucking preventative action?
Yeah.
Please?
Doctor's just like, all right, say, ew. Okay.
He just writes ew on your paper.
Yikes. That's all.
Oh, okay.
Go get prescribed for yikes.
Jesus. Imagine if that's a disease.
Jesus fuck.
Like the clap. Like we talked about.
Oh shit.
Okay. I actually have to go. So let's wrap this bad boy up. What episode is this?
16.
Thank you for being here. That's all you're here for. Just kidding.
The Nick and Calendar podcast.
So that was no, dude, you just close it out. You remembered the episode.
Don't mind if I do. Thank you guys for listening to episode 16. I know a lot of people are falling behind because we do 2 a week and we're like, oh, we don't give a fuck. We're just going to put it out. So if you're keeping
that's enough. You want more? That's enough. Here's more. No, please, that's enough.
I can only listen to one every 3 days. Oh, that's perfect. So thank you for catching up and keeping up. This is episode 16. Appreciate you guys listening, and
we'll see you on the next one.
Later.
Bye.